Hello, in this video I want to share some thoughts that might be very obvious and but also at the same time it is something that we need to remind ourselves of and that I do from time to time, and that is to invest rather than spend. And when you get to a certain age and when you can sort of look back upon years behind you, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years in sort of compartments, you can see like the results of something that you began to do. So in this case, it's investment versus consumption versus spending. The difference is to consume and spend. That is mostly based on instant gratification. It's like going out and drinking, 5 beers, 3 cups of coffee. That is to might go watch a football game, but that can also be an investment, a pleasure or something. And investing is to basically, when you need something, for example, a new jacket, a computer, a smartphone, food also, that you invest in the best that will make you the best. So eating the high quality food is of course better than eating lower quality of food. And a lot of people can have issues with some food being more expensive, but at the same time they are consuming lots of nonsense, so that they feel like paying for example, for a bottle of pure blueberry juice. Say that costs, depending on country, but Sweden, for example, 6 or 7 euros or 8. Now that's too much. But the same person can go and buy a bottle of wine for the same or more. The same person can drink 1.5 beer for the same amount without even blinking or thinking about it. So that's that. So that's the investment versus spending. And this is, we can talk about it in this sort of obvious way of, for example, if you're buying a smartphone, if you buy one that's really good, that has a good camera, you don't have to change it for a while and you will have the best for your needs. And the same goes for everything. If you're handcraft worker, you need the right equipment. So investing, paying the extra, knowing what's quality. For example, having 2 jackets that are the best quality, good sturdy stuff or something elegant, is better than to have 5 wasted jackets, for example. Now in this term it's very obvious, but the same goes for consumption to the mind. For example, if you're paying, I know people who have Netflix or something, and they watch 5 series, and they tell me that, you should watch this one, you should watch that one. And I watch series in my life, of course, but I've stopped that, because when you notice, it's always the same progress in it. It's always the same progression. And often the series gets sort of desperate, so they need to make up twists along the way. The best seasons are always the first, second, and the last, perhaps. But it's always the same progression. For example, and it's always very morbid, very sinister. It's always something manipulative about it. A person is here, wants to get up there, tricks, kills people to get to the top. It's all very psychopathic, just like our leaders are psychopaths. They will go over babies to get to power. They will kill babies. They will do anything, poison the food, invest in toxic industries, anything just to get to the power. And all these series are basically sharing that sort of subliminal message, like Game of Thrones. He did a blog post about this, and the same goes for every series. So after you've seen 3 or 4, I mean, what more have you to see? Basically, like in Game of Thrones, you can find the costumes interesting, the settings, but the same goes on for everyone, even if it's like X-Files or something. Basically, it always follows the same pattern. Now, what are you doing? Are you investing something? Are you getting something good? Are you investing in yourself? Because when you invest in your mind will produce something. When your mind consumes, it will stay flat. It will be like a dog sitting on its ass and watching something, obeying. And of course, everyone needs leisure. You know, not everything in life is that serious. But anyway, people consume too much and they don't invest in their minds. People, I mean, this goes even for books. For example, you can read thousands of books that are just like this series. It's always sort of the same, you know, same, without ever trying to discover something new or challenge yourself or invest something new. So that's for the mind. And also cultural consumption is also it costs money. For example, there are many hidden costs today. So people might have Spotify, Netflix, and something else. So let's say that is 30 euros per month. In a year, that's a lot of money. And do you really need that? So the same goes for music. You listening to music is really great and all that, but it can also be investment. It can also be a consumption. It can also be something that's just there through poor headphones. No, not headphones, but laptop speakers, smartphone speakers. But really listening to music, or perhaps just like coming home, going to your room, your living room, lying on the floor and just making sounds, just exploring sounds together with people or something. That is investment. That is like coming closer to music. Now, all this might sound demanding for a person who is too lazy to ever even go beyond the recognition of the possibility. And this is something I've noticed very much. And why am I doing this video? Because this might be the classical, I mean, this is nothing new, but it is because when you do this for a time, you actually get more time, okay? Because you don't waste that time. You prefer investing in your energy sphere, your family sphere, your friends sphere, whatever your situation is. You invest more, so you get rid of the time wasting. And many things that during a day don't seem to take much time of our life do that, because if you add them up over a year, that's a lot of time. So you get more time, you get more money. Okay, you get more money. That's just a fact. You live easy, you take the least you need and the best of it. You make the essentials the best, and you live the life to the maximum. And what more? And with extra time and money, you get to pick and choose, and you don't have to move around with lots of money to do that. It's just a lifestyle that's sort of within the realm of minimalism, but very easygoing conscious minimalism. Sometimes when I mention this or explain this, people who would like to have it that way but never got their thumbs out of their butts and began with it, they always say, oh, that sounds too serious, that sounds like depressing or something. And that is for me like, whoa. That's just because they can't imagine the thing working, so they go on in their lives consuming stuff, buying 5 curtains over a year, or just wasting money, time, mental activity, and they never, everything seems fine, but it's just like uninteresting. It's unsatisfied. And I can say that because people confess stuff to me, and okay, you hear someone out and you give them advice, but most of the time people feel like the advice giving is so far away from their possibility, but that's just a lack of patience and visualization, because you have to do something for a while to actually look back and see, did this work. And another thing with investing and consuming is debt. So investing, if you need to take a loan, be careful. Never do it if you don't have to, because being debt free is the best freedom. I mean, that's really important. If you can stay out of any kind of debt, out of unnecessary stuff you don't need, do it, because your economy, your life, and your freedom will be much easier. You will sort of be like untouchable or something. There are no hooks connected to you. And all this I've said, maybe it's been a kind of not so chronologically organized, but I think the idea got through. And this is something that I like to remind myself and sort of take time to check up and see, okay, it's been like 6 months, 1 year, how did I do? And always do it with pleasure and joy, and just for the fun of the future. And with that, I think people can get more time, money, energy, and creativity out. And it's not harder than that. It just takes time, and one has to do something. And another thing that is really great is to reduce everything you don't need in your life, sort of all the stuff, all the things, basically. Like personally, I have a small set of clothes, quality clothes, and I have maybe a box or two of memorabilia, like personal stuff, photographs. I think it's more than 2 box, but that's that. Otherwise, nothing to sort of keep one back. And that's that. That's something I wanted to share. So take care, all the best, and I hope November is going to end very well for you. Ciao.